How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the press conference that MaKhia Bryant's family gave with their lawyer. That's a very key component. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, I've already done 2 videos on this. I did the initial video where I broke down the whole thing, where I said the officer had no choice because you have MaKhia Bryant, a 16-year-old young girl, trying to attack, I think it might have been a 28 or 30-year-old woman with a knife. And at the point where the knife almost hit the lady in her head, the officer had to shoot MaKhia Bryant to end the threat, to save the woman's life. And unfortunately, MaKhia Bryant died. There was all kind of protests. People were talking about, oh, you should have shot her in the leg, shot her in the kneecaps, all kind of stuff. But I said the officer was right. Then I did another video speaking about the neighbor saying, hey, the officer had no choice. I saw it. I was right there. It was on my security camera. The videotape doesn't lie. And then also the foster mother coming out and saying, hey, there was some of my former foster kids coming to my house because it was my birthday. They did not come to beat MaKhia Bryant up, unlike what some rumors had been stating. Now we have a press conference with a lot of the family. Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll some of that clip. If you want to see the full 14-minute or so press conference, I'll link to that in the description box below. But I'll play a little bit here. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what was said there, what was not said there. Then I give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
For the first time today, we are hearing from the attorney representing the family of MaKhia Bryant.
Several members of MaKhia's family were there as the attorney made a call for 2 federal investigations. Lindsay Mills is live outside Columbus City Hall tonight, where the attorney and family spoke earlier today. Lindsay, what's their message?
Andrew and Brittany, Michelle Martin is calling for 2 investigations. She's asking for the Department of Health and Human Services to look into Ohio's foster care system, as well as the Department of Justice to look into the shooting.
Words can't even explain how I feel right now that I had to bury my beautiful daughter.
Paula Bryant, the mother of MaKhia Bryant, breaks down in tears holding a picture of the 16-year-old. She was shot by Columbus police officer Nicholas Reardon on April 20th. Wednesday, just over a week later, Paula Bryant stood outside Columbus City Hall along with MaKhia's father, aunt, and grandmother.
For something tragic like this to happen is unimaginable.
And the attorney representing the family, Michelle Martin.
All systems failed her.
Martin calling for action.
We'll be calling for a couple federal investigations, one being from the Health and Human Services, asking that we look into Ohio's foster care system, starting here in Franklin County. We're also going to be calling for a Department of Justice investigation into the shooting.
MaKhia was in foster care at the time of her death. We still don't know the circumstances surrounding why she was in foster care.
At this point in time, I will not be offering up that information. However, as the investigation is ongoing, the story of how MaKhia Bryant was placed in foster care and remained in foster care, what we believe too long, will unfold.
In body camera video on April 20th, MaKhia lunges towards another woman with a knife right before she was shot.
I hear the anger of those who want to make the counter argument of what happened in that moment. But if you aren't angry about why this happened, if you're not angry about why this continues to happen, then you are truly the problem.
The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is investigating the shooting and had no update today. Columbus police say they do not have any further comments regarding the case.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, I had a question about this on my Twitter, or kind of a statement about this, and I'll place that on the screen before you. Basically, I'm like, hey, you have all these people that came out for MaKhia Bryant now after she passed away, but where were they before this? Nobody could have taken her in? That's my whole thing, because let's not forget about the main thing here. MaKhia Bryant was in foster care, okay? I think she had a sister who was also in foster care. Why was she in foster care? And she had been there for quite a while. She was in that home where the shooting happened for about 2 months, but she had been in the system for what some have been saying is years. Even the lawyer came out, or the family, whoever, said that they had been, MaKhia, maybe even the sister, had been in foster care for too long. So why were they there at all? And why were they there for an extended period of time? Okay. Now, one thing I know about black folks and other colors as well, it's not just a black thing, but one thing I know is that people always take in that, the relatives, somebody's on drugs, somebody that got locked up or whatever. Okay. You got the auntie and the uncle taking in the sister's kids, sister's out here doing whatever she doing. You take the kids in, a cousin that stayed with you for a little while or for a long while. I've seen a lot of cases, it's pretty common actually, where a cousin will grow up just like a brother or sister in the family where they're not the brother or sister. Okay, you might have 3 kids. Here comes the cousin, just like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, prime example. Okay, Will was the cousin, but he became Carlton's brother. He became Ashley and Hillary's brother. He became Uncle Phil's son. He became Aunt Vill's son. That's how it was. I got family like that where it's like, and sometimes not even a family member. It could be a friend of yours that becomes like your brother, your sister, your cousin. That's kind of how it is. You got play cousins, all of that. So you got all these people out there. You have the mom, you got the dad, you got the aunt, you got the grandma. But where were any of them when it came to MaKhia Bryant to prevent her from going into the foster care system? How did she get to the foster care system? That's my whole thing. Where were they when MaKhia needed them? Where were they? Now, I've read that MaKhia Bryant had like 15 cases in juvenile court. I'm not sure what it's about. I don't know nothing about that. All I'm knowing is just what I'm reading. So maybe she had some problems. Now, if you're 15, 16, however old you are, with like 15 cases in juvenile court, obviously something is wrong. Maybe it was a problem in the house. Maybe that's why the kids are not there in the home anymore. I'll talk about a lawyer in a little bit because she didn't really answer any questions. But anyway, maybe there were some problems in the home that caused her to be this way. Maybe there could be an undiagnosed mental problem. I don't know what's going on, but clearly something was wrong for her to not be in the home, for no family to come to her aid when she needed them. Or maybe they did come to her aid and they couldn't do nothing with her. The mama couldn't do nothing. The daddy couldn't do nothing. The aunt, the grandma, nobody could do anything. So the next best thing is, okay, foster care. Then you rack up 15 cases in juvenile court. And then you're going from home to home. She was in the last home, the most recent one, for 2 months. But she had been in foster care for what people have been saying is years. For quote unquote way too long, according to the family. So what's really going on? Now, these are good questions, yes. And you would think if there's a press conference with a lawyer present, the lawyer would answer those questions, but she did not answer those questions because the reporters, and shout out to the reporters out there in Columbus, you guys, good job. That's why I always say, people say, hey, ABL, where's a good source of news? I say, look local first because they're on the ground and they have less of an incentive to put spin on their stories. They may do it sometimes, but more often than not, you're going to get less spin than a national story. But I digress. So the questions were asked is like, hey, was MaKhia Bryant's father there? Because remember, in the tape, there was one guy trying to kick the young girl on the head that MaKhia had pushed down on the ground. I'm not sure if it was the same guy with the top hair and the Jordans or whatever and the gold chain. I'm not sure if that was him that was in the tape, but it could have been. Now, they asked her that specifically, and the way she answered it, I could tell it was probably him. All right. First, when they asked, they were trying to ask him the question directly, the man, the father. And she said, oh, you can't ask him any questions. You got to ask me. So then when they asked her, he was like, well, I'll tell you that a little bit later. Trying to avoid it. It probably was him in the tape. Why aren't you locked up, sir? But anyway, then they asked, hey, why was MaKhia Bryant in the foster care system? And she didn't want to say that. She said, well, as we, as the story unfolds, we're going to learn more. It's like, okay, if you're not trying to say why she was in foster care, if you're not trying to say who was there, if you're not trying to talk about a 911 call that was allegedly made by MaKhia or the sister, if you don't want to speak about that, then why are you here? Why are you here? Just trying to put your face out there so everybody knows who you are and that's it? Now, I'm not trying to say they're trying to get money. I will never say that because I don't know what they're going through. Maybe I did not really see tears coming out of eyes, but maybe people are really feeling it. Maybe people, they grieve differently. And I'm being serious. Maybe they grieve differently, and maybe they really do feel, like they've lost their daughter, their friend, etc. I get it. However, they did already come out before this press conference and say that they are, pursuing legal action. And this conference is talking about, the foster care system and all this and that. They said, quote unquote, systems failed them, meaning the system of police in Columbus and also the foster care system. But you see, let's go back to the very beginning. Remember when I said that there were women, adult women, that came to the foster mom's house because it was the foster mom's birthday. Now, if you have former foster care children that come back 10 years later, 15 years later, and still have a connection with you, is it the foster care system at that point that's the problem? Is it them? Because MaKhia apparently was in a good place with a good lady. So I'm not trying to say that the home she had been at previously were all sunshines and roses, but I'm saying where she was just now appears to be pretty good, because you got girls still coming back years later to celebrate the foster mom's birthday. And it was a nice neighborhood and everything. So what's really happening? Maybe let's talk about them 15 court cases that went on. Let's talk about that household and what's happening there. Let's get down to the bottom of why she was in foster care. Could it have been a thing that was outside of the parents' control? Sure. But I think there's something that they have done. Maybe somebody got locked up. Maybe the family didn't want to deal with her. Maybe she was too much to deal with. That's most likely what went on, judging by what she did at the very end of her life, unfortunately. May she rest in peace. It's unfortunate that she died, but there was no other choice. You're talking about the knife was right there at the other lady's head. What are you going to do if you're the officer? Just let it happen? Just let it? You have a split second to react. Within 5 seconds of the officer getting on the scene out of his car, the knife was right here at the temple. And then the guy who was probably right there in the press conference tried to kick somebody in the head right there on camera, on the body camera. So as I close, I want to say this. People are all out there right now, the whole family, the grandma, the aunt, the mama, the daddy, and sisters and brothers and everybody, they're all out there. But what about when MaKhia Bryant needed them? Okay, I see people just kind of dropping the ball from the beginning. Kids are only as good as what their parents make them be. The whole thing about mental illness, even if you're mentally ill, you got something wrong with you physically, that does not excuse you from being a murderous and violent person at a young age like that, especially. I think the parents need to really answer some questions here. And I don't think we're going to get any real answers anytime soon, because there is some legal stuff happening because of a potential lawsuit. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this press conference? Did you see the full thing I linked to in the box? Do you think they were being honest? Well, at least the lawyer and some of the family, were they being honest? Like, was it a good press conference? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. Why do you think they're all coming out right now to, be the face of the family when they should have been there from the very beginning? Like I said, I don't know all the particulars of the situation of how MaKhia Bryant wound up going to foster care and being there for an extended period of time. I don't know how she allegedly has 15 juvenile court cases. I don't know about any of that. However, what I can say is that there was some balls dropped here for sure. The question is, who did it? Was it the police? I don't think so. The tape doesn't lie. He did what he had to do. Was it the foster mom? Not the most recent one. I don't think so, because why do you have former foster children as adults 10 years later still coming back to celebrate the foster mom's birthday if she was so bad? I think it all stems from the home, which is where most of these problems with kids out here violent and dangerous, that's where it comes from, the home. If we can fix that, then you're going to have less MaKhia Bryants. We don't need police reform. We need family reform, period. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.